In this video, we're going to cover how the Tap-In service can be used to automate control of your Nest thermostat. If you're not familiar with Tap-In, please take a look at the introduction video that's on the main tapinsystems.com webpage. It covers kind of an overview of what the Tap-In service is all about and how it works. Specifically, in this video, we're going to cover how to create a tap that controls the Nest. Specifically, we're going to we can get Nest configuration and state information from a Tap-In plan, and we can also set the Nest settings from a plan. And as with all Tap-In automation, we can integrate with other things such as text messaging, email, other Internet of Things devices like the Dropcam or the Hue light. And I'm going to show you some samples that are available to allow you to integrate Nest with those things, as well as other cloud services, which we'll also go through. So let's take a look at what sample taps we have available. This is the Tap-In main web page. So to access the Nest plans, go to the Tap Store, and on the things list, just select Nest. And these are the sample plans we currently have available. As you probably know, that these plans are created by users and can be modified by any user. These are the ones created by Tap-In, but any user can create their own taps and share them if they wish. So as you can see here, we can use Nest to do things like set the temperature in your home based on a weather forecast. We can use the Nest temperature setting to turn colors on your Hue smart light bulb. We can also do things like use the temperature in the Nest to trigger taking a picture and emailing it to you in Dropcam. We're going to look at two of these in detail. One is to set the target temperature of the Nest based on a weather forecast. That seems like something that people might want to do to better prepare their homes for incoming weather. And another one we're going to talk about in detail is the logging data from the Nest into the Dropbox. This enables you to log your own data and use it to analyze, to perhaps get a better insight on the use of your thermostat within your home. So let's take a look first at the temperature integration with weather. Here's the process flow diagram for that tap. We first can we're using the Weather Underground API, which allows you to get weather from a larger number of stations throughout the world. And so we are getting the external temperature from a location that is closest to your home. So you specify your home location. And then based on the weather forecast, if everything is okay, and you can define what okay is, we're not going to do anything. But if the temperature is below a threshold, in this sample it's below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to try to make the changes in the Nest. So here, one of the things you might want to consider whether to take that action or not is whether the Nest is online. So in this particular sample, we're going to check for that, so we get the thermostat data. If the Nest is not online, meaning it's not connected to the internet, which in my home's case is quite often, I want to be notified via email, and then we're not going to do anything. But if the Nest is online, then we're going to set the temperature and email me that the temperature has been set. So to execute this, we can just hit the play button right from this page. And as you can see, we've taken this tact, which says the weather forecast is okay, so no thermostat changes are needed. So let's take a look at this plan in more detail and play with it to see if we can get it to try to execute some of the other settings. I'm now going into the admin portion of the tap-in service to change this particular process model. So let's take a look at some of the settings here. In this particular case, I'm going to get my home location. If I look at that particular place setting, this is pointed to an area using Google Maps, and again, you can point this to your particular home, and as I mentioned before, the Weather API will find the closest weather station to that. So the external temperature should be as accurate as we can get it, since we're using kind of not a generic location to get a city location to get the weather, but one that's close to your home. We're then going to get the weather forecast and then analyze that data. If we look at this particular constraint, which will take this path if the temperature is below 50 degrees, and if we look at the details of that constraint, as you can see here, the setting is getting the weather forecast temperature low in Fahrenheit. But you can combine this with any other weather data. So, for example, if you wanted to take an action based on snow or wind or precipitation or humidity, you can add that to this particular plan and we'll take that path based on any combination of those settings. So we're going to keep it simple in the sample and just check for the weather forecast. In this case, I'm going to change this. I want to test this. So let's just take this if the weather is below 80. Only because I want to ensure that that path is taken. So there we go. We've made that change. Now, if I'm now going to test, talk to my thermostat to see if it's online. And to look at that place, here is this place which gets my Nest data. We are already authorized to talk to the Nest. We're using the standard official API that Nest provides, and we're using the standard authorization that enables us to access that data. So select the Nest that you want. This is the name in there. Once you get that information, we can pull the information that you want. And in this particular case, I'm getting the ambient, I'm getting all of these different configuration parameters from the Nest. Now, if the Nest is online, which is being tested here, then I'm going to set the temperature to 67. And I'm going to send myself an email. If not, it's just going to tell me that I couldn't execute that and end. So let's execute this with that change. And I'm executing this from the, I can execute this right here from this particular editor console. As you can see, since I made that change, it took the path that I wanted to test. So we look at these messages. It got the weather forecast. It displayed this message. I said, okay, I'm going to take change. Here is the response of all my current settings. And it's go ahead and set the Nest temperature to 67. So that's an example of a plan which can be used to not only get the thermostat data, but also set it according to whatever logic you put into the plan. And as we've shown in other plans, you can easily change this to add additional tasks in any of these paths, or change the action to take in. For example, if I wanted to send me an SMS messages to my phone rather than email, I can easily do that by just clicking and changing this to an option to SMS, and that action will take place. Let's take a look at another tap. Which I'm going back to the store and looking at my Nest. And this is one that we've heard that a lot of people are interested in doing, which is to log their Nest data. So if you are interested in looking at the data from your Nest over a long period of time, one of the things that you can use Tapin to do is get the data on a regular basis. We have a scheduler which lets you execute this on a regular time, and then take that data and log it to a data file. And that data file can be on a public file service like Dropbox. Dropbox allows you to sign up for a free account and use the data like a cloud-based disk. So I'm going to execute that just to show you how that works. And I'm going to get this information, my location, the current time, and use that to get the weather information, same as my previous plan. So I'm going to show not just the Nest data, but the current weather data. I'm going to do the query to my Nest thermostat, and then I'm going to update a file on my Dropbox that gets all of that information. Now, this is just executed, and I actually have in my other tab access to my Nest. And so this is showing my shared data. As you can see here, this just executed. And if I look in that place, that file, you can see this is a comma-separated value file that I've created, which logs a number of different things. It logs the time that I executed this, the time of the weather, the external data from the weather, the humidity, the Nest ambient temperature as measured by the Nest, what the target temperature is, whether I was online or not, and the last connection time. And this is all controlled by the plan. And if you need other data, either weather data or Nest data, the plan will allow you to do that. If I go into that plan now, the same as I did before, to see how this works, we're getting the data as we did in the previous plan. Temperature, relative humidity, precipitation, the time. So I'm storing that data. I'm getting the Nest data and storing it, which is the ambient temperature, whether it's online, the target temperature. As I said, you can easily add whatever other data you're interested in that's available from the Nest. And then we have a Dropbox method, which will allow you to get the file from Dropbox, update that file, and then store it back on Dropbox. I schedule this plan to execute every interval. So to do that, just hit the schedule button, and it's currently disabled. I ran that on demand, but to enable that back, I just click on this. I can go ahead and set the days that I want this to run, or if I only want this to run at specific times of the day, I can do that as well. So this is a basic scheduling function for any Tapin tap, and that will this method will enable you to store as much of your Nest data as you want for as long as you want. And I'm going to re-enable that, so I will update that. And so now that it's back online and will execute every 5 minutes. So that's the plans we have to control the Nest from Tapin. I hope you found this interesting. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us based on the information from our website. Our email information is there. And have fun controlling your Nest from Tapin.